Hello, energy enthusiasts and clean energy fans. Welcome to another episode of Trina Talks, where we have short conversations that speak volumes. I'm your host, Melissa Cavanagh, Trinasolar US Marketing Manager. And on today's episode, we're back in the studio after our marathon of live episodes that we hosted in Trina's booth at RE Plus in Las Vegas this year. If you haven't seen those yet, go ahead and check them out and be sure to like this video and subscribe to see more. Like every year at RE Plus, it was a culmination of months of hard work and bringing the industry together for a week of exhilarating conversations and events that really make the convention the single best location for networking, building customer and partner relationships, and getting the insights to hone your strategies for the upcoming year. That's why on this episode, we're welcoming Kevin Andrews, Market Research Manager with Trinasolar US, and we've compiled our top 10 winning hands from RE Plus 2025 that we'll be sharing with you today. So if you couldn't make it to Vegas, you're going to love this conversation. And if you did make it there, let us know in the comments if you have other topics or other things that really stood out for you. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to Trina Talks.
Hey, Melissa, thank you. Great to be on. How are you?
I am doing well, recovering, getting a little bit of rest, and also catching up on all of the normal work that happens while we are at the show. How was your travel? How was your trip from Michigan to Vegas?
Yeah, my trip was good. Um, so my favorite part about Vegas is the food. I'm from Central Michigan, where the food is good. It's not great. So I take any and all opportunity to hit the sushi bar pretty hard in Las Vegas. So I spent a couple of days eating delicious food in the desert. What about you? How was your trip, Melissa?
So I also love the food in Vegas. And at RE Plus, there's so much going on. It's a way to treat yourself and, maybe have a great meal. I know we had the opportunity to have a dinner with the marketing team. And I don't know about you. Okay, so for all of you at home, we ate at Lavo in the Venetian in Las Vegas. And it's amazing. You should try it if you ever have the opportunity. But Kevin, what about the meatball that we had?
Oh man, I love those team dinners. Yeah, the Wagyu meatball. It was the first, the only, and the best Wagyu meatball that I've had in my 40 years
Yeah.
on Earth.
And
Yeah, it
so
was
it was
delicious.
like this big. So like a softball size. And you know what?
Huge.
That might be small for what it really actually was. It might have been a little bit bigger than a softball, but it was big and it was covered in what? Like sauce and cheese.
All the cheeses, all the sauces. It was just
It was
absolutely
delicious.
delicious,
So
along with
yeah.
the rest of the food we had there. Yeah.
Well, we do have some takeaways. Our key takeaways, our jackpot wins from RE Plus that we need to talk about. So, but you know what? If you get to go to the Venetian in Vegas, please stop at Lavo. Have the meatball. It will be enough to share for your entire table as an appetizer. Anyway, okay, let's talk about our takeaways from RE Plus. So the way we're going to do this, everyone, is Kevin and I are going to share our key takeaways, our jackpot wins, our big wins from the RE Plus show. And I hope that you enjoy this. Kevin and I work very closely together with Trina, but we tend to interact maybe differently when we're at conferences. So I think you're really going to enjoy this. So Kevin, what is your number one takeaway from RE Plus 2025?
Yeah, so the number one takeaway for me is holy moly, we are going to need a lot more electricity in this country. It seemed like every conversation I had, every session that I popped into, there were people or panelists speaking about data centers and the enormous load growth that those are bringing here to the US grid. And so, whether it is from a national competitive standpoint, whether it is from an economic driver point of view, I think the general consensus is that we're going to need a lot more power and we are going to need it quickly. And enter solar plus storage. It is pretty uniquely situated
Mhm.
to not only provide the necessary power, but also scale quickly, which is important considering the need and the immediacy of that need.
Yeah. Yeah. While we were at RE Plus, there was another event, a data center event dedicated to the data center sector, the YADA event. And I was talking with some colleagues that went over to the data center side. And what you just said, holy moly, do we need a lot of energy? So if that was your number one key takeaway of RE plus, just add the exclamation point to that. And that's what the conversation was about over at Yada. So the data centers, as you had mentioned, the demand for energy, it's incredible. And the people over on the data center side understand that they need to generate a ton of energy. They also know that they are going to need to get that energy from multiple different sources. So, in walks the help from the renewable energy industry and all of the experts that, you and I talked with the whole time we were at the show.
Yeah, and there's a lot of interesting things going on. I mean, these are pretty sophisticated. I hate to use the term customer, but these are pretty
Mhm.
sophisticated energy users, right? And so there's some really unique partnerships taking place between large data center customers and their utility. Some really
Mhm.
interesting things taking place with on-site generation, whether that's front of the meter or behind the meter or a combination of both. I think there are a lot of really smart people looking at this problem in really specific and intentional ways, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it adds a lot of positive energy. Positive energy. See what I did there? Positive energy for the feeling of the industry, moving into the end of this year and into 2026. So that leads me into the number two key takeaway from RE Plus, and I'm going to field this one, was the amazing crowd. I was a little bit unsure. I was curious to see how the industry responds, and man, did they show up. So, looking at all of the challenges facing the industry right now, we still had over 37,000 people. And I think it hit the expectations of what the show was looking for. But we filled, if you were in the Venetian during that time, it was busy, and it we filled the halls. We also filled the Trina booth, which was absolutely something to experience. We were showcasing Trina's top technology and innovation. We had actual deal making happening in our booth. We had 4 conference rooms, so that provided our leadership and our sales team the opportunity to have, one-on-one in-person conversations with our customers, which, that is so important, but also astounding and refreshing to interact with our counterparts, our partners, our just colleagues within the renewable energy space. It was just fantastic to be in person. What about you, Kevin? Did you have the opportunity to meet with any partners or have any interesting discussions while you were there?
Oh yeah, lots of good meetings, lots of great discussions. Most of my engagements tend to be with research and analysis type groups. So think about the Wood Mackenzie's of the world, the S&Ps of the world. Had several good conversations with them, and that kind of brings us into my third key takeaway is that Domestic policy continues to move the market in the US. I think a lot of those conversations with analysts and researchers really focused on OBBB. I also learned a couple of new
Mhm.
acronyms this time around, whether it's O3B or OBBB. So new acronyms on the table, as if we need more of them in the solar
Well,
industry.
so I do have to place a vote on that. I saw that I think I saw it on a LinkedIn post after RE Plus, and I can get on board with OB3 because I have a hard time. I try to say that acronym and I always give it an extra B or whatever. So OB3 just easier to say. Anyway, keep going.
It sounds like a Star Wars droid.
Yeah.
But so yeah, so lots of good conversations about O3B and what it means for the U.S. solar industry and what it means more broadly for U.S. energy policy as a whole. So lots of people starting to find navigable pathways through one big beautiful bill. We had the start of construction guidance that came out in August, and I'd say that was a kind of pleasant surprise for the industry. It was not nearly as restrictive as it could have been. And so a lot of conversations focused on safe harboring and the volume
Mhm.
of projects that have safe harbored in 2025, um, the volume of projects that are likely to safe harbor through the end of 2025 and even in the first half of 2026. And then
Mhm.
lots of legitimate research questions around how long that safe harbor volume actually lasts into the back part of this decade. So um, lots of interesting conversations when it comes to domestic policy here in the US.
Yeah, and you're right. All of those, the policy, the reaction, what customers are trying to understand is, how does this impact them, and how are they going to find a path forward that makes sense for them? Which kind of leads me to the number four thing that I think is a huge win or a takeaway from RE Plus. One of the coolest things about RE Plus every year, and this year did not disappoint, was that the innovation and the technology leads the way. So the number of people that came, and for instance, they joined us in the Trina booth, attendees are so eager to learn about what's coming, what cutting edge technology has Trina brought to the show, and what does that mean? And they realize that not only Trina, but of course, we like to talk about the pushing the boundaries and being able to show not only for the PV module business, but module cell energy storage, that we are pushing the boundaries and extending the performance. So for instance, in the training booth we had the hail and wind modules, which is the vertex and shield modules, which is for utility and CNI. But customers are super interested because they are being impacted by hail insurance claims right now. It's important to them. So, one of the things that stands out is I was able to sit down. One of our live Trina Talks episodes was with Solagent, and we talked about the extreme weather in Florida. And that is such a big thing that when they are working through all of the politics and working through all of the selection process when working with not only distributors but installers and homeowners in Florida, those modules that can be, hail and wind resistant, as well as that all black sleek design that everyone wants, on the residential side, people were super excited about that. And then one last thing, another thing that we had in the booth was the 2000-volt prototype, and that's for utility and larger commercial projects. But we had a lot of discussions at the show about that because one of our pre-sales engineers worked with Black and Veatch and worked through the study and showing the considerable reduction in LCOE for projects that use that 2000-volt module. So anyway, all of these really exciting, some new, some improved technologies, but all of them are just a path towards that to lower LCOE and 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 savings when it comes to installing solar from a utility or a commercial or even a residential standpoint. So when you were outside of the Trina booth, did you see any products that caught your eye? Anything stand out to you from other booths besides Trina's?
I was supremely focused on all of the booth candy that Trina had in our own booth, Melissa, all of those fabulous looking modules,
Uh,
2000 volt
you
included.
know, you're just saying that to make, to make the marketing team feel good. No, I'm just kidding. I'm glad. I did see a few products out there that were really interesting. I saw some modules that were like curved, also kind
Mm.
of cool.
Yeah, one thing that I did notice when I walked the floor is there's still a diversity of suppliers aiming to serve the
Yeah.
US market, even in the shadow of O3B. So that brings me to my next takeaway. It's kind of similar to my last one, but I'm going to break them out into two different takeaways, two different winning hands.
Yeah.
And so my next takeaway is focused on trade policy. And as much as domestic policy has moved the PV and clean energy markets, the other side of that coin is also moving markets as well. And trade policy
Mhm.
continues to be top of mind for a lot of developers, a lot of suppliers, and a lot of stakeholders in our industry. So a lot of conversations covering some familiar topics for a lot of people who have been in this industry for some time. We've seen new ADCVD investigations launched against India, Indonesia, and Laos, reshaping U.S. supply chains again. We've seen 232 investigations on aluminum and steel and copper as well this year, drive up the costs associated with downstream development. And there's a looming 232 investigation covering global polysilicon imports as well, which introduces a fair bit of uncertainty into the US market, depending on how that all shakes out. And then UFLPA, right? That's something that we've
Yeah.
been talking about for years. We heard a lot about new detentions from new manufacturers. Trade policy continues to be top of mind. It continues to be an important discussion and one that I had quite a bit at RE Plus this year.
Yeah, and it's such it's a good thing, which leads me into number 6. My number 6 for key wins at RE Plus is right along these lines. So not only are customers really appreciative of having conversations with experts regarding policy, but customer and partner relationships are built in person, and memories that you build in person at a show like RE Plus, they last a lifetime. So when you attend a show, if you're given the opportunity to attend a show like RE Plus, it is worth it to spend the time and attend partner functions. And there are some really phenomenal options for networking at RE Plus. From the block party to Sia's Solar Sisters networking gathering, all the way to Trina's customer event. And I am positive that there were other events that customers had choices to go and attend. But our customer event this year was called Rocktails and Renewables, and it really gave us an opportunity to relax and unwind, but also talk about what are our future plans? What are we doing? What are our customers doing? What needs do they see on the horizon? But all of these conversations and relationships are just they're built because you're able to be in person. So um whether you are able to attend those extra after hours events, those are fantastic. But there were also some really great networking opportunities right on the show floor. One of them that stands in my mind is the Megawatt Group. Did they they did a happy hour, but in addition to that, they had a badge scanning where when you scan your badge, you got to be put into one of their drawings for their giveaways. Did you know about this, Kevin? Do you know about the giveaways that Megawatt Group had?
I have heard rumors, but I did not actually participate.
Yeah, next year we are there. We are signing up, and we're going to throw our hat in the ring. But they had some really fantastic prizes. I think they were iPads and watches and some really great stuff. But what's really cool is that they pulled that together with their cocktail party that they had right on the show floor in their booth. So people had to be there in person. They all showed up. They got to have a cocktail while they were waiting, and it was all exciting. They were calling names out. And anyway, it's a great time. And I think that that's part of it, is being in person, getting the opportunity to, give away some cool prizes, shake hands with your partners, say thanks for being there, and, really just enjoying all of the time. So connecting us all together, like through events and really giving us activities to enjoy together.
Yeah, here, here. This flows right into my next takeaway, and it is full of gratitude for the Solar Energy Industries Association. So our trade group, they always put on such a fantastic show, led
Yeah.
by the indomitable Abby Hopper, our fearless leader. She and her staff are just amazingly kind and knowledgeable and helpful, and just do such a great job bringing the industry together year after year. So her staff were leading incredible sessions. I know Abby's calendar was probably booked back to back to back for
Yeah.
4 days, 5 days, however long she was out there. And so just a huge round of applause, a huge bunch of gratitude just for all of the work that the SIA team puts in every year. It's definitely appreciated. And
Oh, yeah.
also, let me add, maybe their lesser known little sibling, SEPA, the Smart Electric Power Alliance. They're
Mhm.
also doing fascinating work, oftentimes at intersections with the PV and storage industry. But I attended a few SEPA sessions as well, and they were equally as interesting. Their staff were equally as kind. So I think we're well taken care of in terms of our advocacy groups in this industry at the moment.
Yeah, we cannot downplay. You can't downplay the amount of preparation and the amount of work that goes into planning an event like RE Plus. So I'm sure there are others, but we really do appreciate everything that the RE Plus show coordinators and SIA and SEPA, all of the planning preparation, as well as the amazing content that we all were able to consume by doing the activities or attending the sessions. Absolutely. So moving into our number eight win at RE Plus is that energy storage shines. That is bottom line. Kevin, you mentioned this, I think, in your number one, in our number one key win from RE Plus. But all of this energy that is needed, it's coming, right? And grid failures and energy resilience are top priorities across the board for everyone, especially for data centers. And that means that energy storage is a key piece of the puzzle. The Trina storage team had such an eye-catching, immersive digital display in the Trina booth that it just jumped out at you, like really jumped out at you. Did you get to see it, Kevin?
Oh my goodness, how could you miss it? It was so engaging, it was so eye-grabbing, and informative as well. I think I spent at least like 10 minutes just staring at that display, waiting for it to cycle through a couple of times because it was so engaging.
Yeah, it was really cool. If you were standing kind of in the aisle on the corner of it, part of the battery just came right out, and it's, I don't know. I think if you are in marketing, like that's the stuff that like really geeks you out, right? You get to just see, okay, how did they design this graphic to make it feel like you are involved in it? And anyway, it was very cool. And I did get to sit down and talk with Luis Montoya, the chief engineer with Trina Storage, on one of our live episodes of Trina Talks. He talked about the new product, the Elementor 2 Pro platform that has just launched in the North America market. It's a fully wrapped cell to AC solution. So that digital display at RE Plus was all about that, and we did get some really crazy feedback. It seemed like it was a showstopper. It was stopping people in their tracks as they were walking by, they had to stop, which, it was fun and it was fantastic. So it was definitely the benchmark, I think, for really cool displays. And we'll see how many of those we see next year at the show.
Yeah, I think it might take it home this year. That may have been the coolest display that I
Yeah.
saw on the show floor.
So what's okay? We're almost there, everyone. And if you've made it this far through our video, hang in there because we've got kind of a surprise number. After we're on number 9, Kevin's going to share his number 9. I will share 10, and then we've got kind of a surprise topic to talk about. So hang in there. What, Kevin? Number 9 key takeaway from RE Plus.
Yeah, our number 9, my last one, is just the optimism that underscored
Yeah.
that entire event and the entire audience and participants. I think everybody is well aware that our industry has faced policy headwinds for
Hmm.
the last year or so.
Yeah.
It would be easy to get discouraged as an industry, but that was not the case. I think every conversation that I had, every panel that I listened to, there was a fundamental optimism about our industry. And I think that's because the fundamentals remain strong, right?
Mhm.
Solar and storage continues to be cost competitive with other supply side resources. State energy goals and utility IRPs continue to push this market forward. And those haven't changed, right? Even on an unsubsidized basis, if we consider a scenario where the tax credits are removed or no longer available,
Mhm.
solar and storage is still a pretty compelling value proposition
Yeah.
compared to other supply side resources. And I think that rang true throughout the event for me, and definitely the conversations that I had and the sessions that I listened to.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. And that was such it was, yeah, it was a huge takeaway. And I witnessed the same thing. So moving on to number 10, and you have to just throw a heart on the in the comments section or something if you are one of our fellow marketing people who worked really hard to make our request the show floor, to make it such a memorable experience, no matter whether you came to the Trina booth or whether you were uh, strolling through and visiting any number of the professionals that put together exhibits. And so my number 10 takeaway is making the booth experience, making it the visit worthwhile. So from a marketing perspective, I understand, we all strive to just know your audience, right? And we know that visitors, while they enjoy the hospitality and they may enjoy the giveaways or the brochures, um, displays like the immersive Trina storage experience that we talked about a few minutes ago part are part of it. And I think our industry is getting to the point where we want to be involved in the exhibits, right? We want it to be interactive. So one of the other things, if you did not get the opportunity to join us in the Trina booth, we had a custom 3-hole golf course this year. And everyone that I talked to who had the opportunity to play just could not say enough about it. It was something fun to do to break up all of the hard work that is happening, all of the serious conversations, all of the topics and things that mean so much to everybody in this industry. But it gave people the time to take 5 or 10 or 15 minutes and play golf with your colleague or your manager or your coworker or even just someone new that you met at the show. We Did you get to play golf, Kevin? Did you play golf?
Oh yeah, yeah. I played a few rounds on our mini putt putt course, and it affirmed for me that I still stink at golf. Uh, love playing, but just not very good. But perhaps we could parlay this into a future Trina customer golf event outing at a future date, which could
That would
be
be that would be so much
amazing.
fun. Yeah, it
Yeah.
really would. One of the things that I saw, because I also, not very good at golf, but what we saw in the Trina booth. So we had three holes, three miniature golf holes. So they weren't very big holes, but we had a couple of people that actually got hole in ones. And there was one player. So if you're out there, if you are the person that had a hole in one on hole one and then another hole in one on hole two, and we basically had the entire booth was gathering around and cheering for this person, which ended up, I think he got a three on hole three, but hole three was extremely hard. But the camaraderie is apparent, and it was so much fun to cheer when someone did well, and it really was fun. One of the other things that we did at the Trina booth was have 4 live Trina Talks episodes, which was really fun, and it was an engaging way to bring some of the other industry leaders and partners right into the Trina booth. So we had John from VDE Americas. We had Tristan from Kiwa Pivel, Clark from Solagent, and then Louise from Trina Storage. And it really was a way for people who were walking by to see that we're having this very, very small but really interesting conversation going on. And it drew people into the booth and gave them a reason to sit down in the comfy chairs that we had and, take a few minutes off of their feet. So all of those things, of course, were all designed in order to make an enjoyable experience for the visitors who stopped by the Trina booth. You can't go wrong with, cool giveaways, and shout out to Sarah who handled our merch. Kevin, what was your favorite giveaway that we gave away this year in the Trina booth?
Oh, the golf balls, no doubt. The Titleist Pro V1 Trina branded. Uh,
Yeah.
I pilfered a couple of sleeves. I'm looking forward to losing them in the woods as soon as possible.
You did not pilfer. They were gifted to you. They were definitely yours. And I heard that a lot. I think for anybody who golfs, probably the Pro V ones, I hear those are the best kind of golf balls. So yeah, kudos for that. Another one of our cool giveaways that we can't keep in stock. We would bring them out and put them on the counter, and they would be gone just like that. Are the Trina socks? Do you have any Trina socks, Kevin?
No, I didn't grab a pair, but they were definitely a hot item. I staffed the front of the booth for a while,
Yeah.
and you could not keep the socks on that desk fast enough. And the
Yeah.
sunglasses too. People really like the
Yeah.
sunglasses.
The sunglasses make sense, right? Because
Yep,
it's the
yep.
sun and the solar industry and all of that stuff. But I want, I think we need to find out, we need to make the socks a little bit more interactive. We need to have some sort of contest, like a sock, like wearing contest, like day two. If you take the socks on day one, you have to, model them on day two. Do you think any way to do
Mm.
that?
I'm not overly familiar with sock modeling etiquette at professional trade shows. I might have to pass on that one, Melissa.
I know, I know. Well, I have seen photos, very few, but a few people have sent me photos of the socks like being worn after, and I just love it. But yeah, the socks are going to have to continue. We keep thinking maybe we just change the color so every event has a different color or something like that.
Yeah, we could also treat that as part of the Trina event uniform. So instead of Trina polos, we could, uniformly wear Trina socks and get some snaz points that way.
I love that. I love that. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know if I could wear those with my sandals though. Anyway, we won't worry about
Hey, if,
that part.
if there's a will, there is a way, Melissa.
Yeah. You know what? And sometimes you just have to make sacrifices to follow, the uniform.
Socks and
Okay,
sandals, that's a big sacrifice.
so we have made it through what Kevin and I think are the top 10 wins, big wins from Las Vegas at RE Plus this year. But there's another piece, and I think many people may know, but it was a huge topic of conversation. Kevin, what's the bonus takeaway?
You actually told me this, so feel free to chime in here when I mess it up. But my understanding is that RE Plus will no longer be a September event. They're going to move it to the first week in November and have it be perma Vegas. So it will remain in
Yes.
Vegas instead of hopping back and forth.
Yeah, that's big news for anybody who,
Big time.
is kind of behind the scenes and planning these events. From here on out, RE Plus is going to be held in Las Vegas. And instead of bouncing back and forth between Las Vegas and Anaheim every other year, it will be in Las Vegas and it will be in November. I kind of like that, Kevin. What do you think about, the new like November late fall timing?
Yeah, I love it. I have missed the first day of preschool the last 3 years with my last three RE Plus shows. So beginning of November can be a tough time in House Andrews. I'm sure other families and people are experiencing something similar. So I'm totally open to it. I'm happy I get to, although this last year was my last first day of preschool. Next year it'll be the last first day of kindergarten for my
Oh my
youngest.
gosh.
So I will
But
be here for that, which is
yeah.
good. And then also like week before Thanksgiving, it's gonna kind of have like reunion vibes, right? Like when you go home and you meet up with all your old friends.
Mhm.
I wonder if it'll strike a similar vibe with the PV and storage industries out in Las Vegas the week before Thanksgiving.
I think so. And you know what? It is going to be great for you to be there for the first day of kindergarten for your little one. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad for you. And I do feel like that. When we're entering into November, it's when the entire industry, I mean, everybody starts to feel a little bit more in the holiday spirit already. So I think it's good timing, and I'm really really looking forward to it. Overall, I think the main message from Vegas is clear. Invest in technologies that deliver long term value. And remember that the fundamentals of solar and storage are stronger than any single policy cycle. So, as we kick off quarter 4, we hope that these key takeaways from RE Plus help you finish the year strong and successfully build out your 2026 project timeline. If you want to learn more about Trina's products on display at RE Plus, follow the link in the description to reach out to the Trinasolar US team. Kevin, thank you so much for joining me on this recap of RE Plus.
Of course, it's been great. Thank you for having me, Melissa.
I hope that we can leave that, invitation open, and maybe we can have another conversation on another Trina Talks episode in the future when we're able to, maybe add clarity or answer some customer questions. We could dive a little deeper. So hopefully you'll say yes if I ask you again.
I'm not a podcast guy, so I like how you're trying to nail me down for the next podcast right now. I appreciate it.
I don't know. I think you might have just proven that you are a podcast guy.
Maybe it's just been lurking beneath the surface this entire time, and I just needed this experience to bring it out in me.
It's all just waiting. It's waiting for us to just come out and say, yes, I am a podcaster now. All right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. And for those of you watching, thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. I can't wait to share more Trina Talks with you. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and share this video with your project team, and stay tuned for new episodes of Trina Talks that are released on the first Thursday of every month. Until next time, may your LCOE be low, your efficiency high, and your systems optimized. I'm Melissa Cavanagh, and this is Trina Talks.